Just with 6:30. So. We are live. Okay. Welcome to this November 27th, 6:30 p.m. Truth and Taxation hearing of the Rhode Island Olivia Lake Lillian School District, number 2534. I'll call the Truth and Taxation hearing to order. Would there be a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
It's been moved by Member Bucktel and seconded by Member Benson to approve the agenda. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Okay, hearing no discussion, we'll move to vote on approving the agenda as printed. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries to approve the agenda as printed. Okay, we have one item which is under new business, and that would be our public truth and taxation hearing for the 2023 payable 2024 property tax levy. Information on the proposed property tax levy and current budget is going to be presented by Amy Schmidt, our district business manager, prior to any question and answer period. So once we get through that and any Q&A, then we'll adjourn the meeting. So with that, I'll turn it over to Amy, and we're going to reset the camera so it can be seen by those online.
How does that look on the screen there?
So that's pretty good. You can
Okay.
see it.
All right.
And it's centered.
Good evening. So, my job is to help you understand truth and taxation. So what is truth and taxation? It is a law in Minnesota that requires local governments, like school districts, to be transparent about their budget and tax decisions. The law requires us to hold public meetings to discuss their budget and tax plans. This helps ensure that taxpayers and the community understand how their taxpayers are being used and have a chance to give input and ask questions about these decisions. It's all about openness and accountability in managing school finances. Minnesota state law requires a public meeting between November 24th and December 28th, 2023 at 6 p.m. or later. It may be part of a regular scheduled meeting. It must allow for public comment and may adopt final levy at the same meeting. And at that, it's also a presentation of our current year budget and proposed property tax levy. So who sets the school levy? It's set by the state formula that's adopted by the legislature. So that helps with our general education formula, operating capital, career and technical programming, and reemployment. And then also by voter-approved funding sources as authorized by the state, whether it's operating referendums or building bonds. So how is your property tax determined? The county assessor determines market value for each parcel of property. The Minnesota legislature sets formulas for tax capacity. These formulas determine how the tax burden is split on different types of property, whether it's residential, commercial, ag, etc. County auditor calculates the tax capacity for each parcel based on the above. Then the county auditor divides the total levy by total tax capacity of the district to determine tax rate needed. The tax rate is multiplied by each property's tax capacity. Certain levies are spread based on market value rather than tax capacity. So on this slide, it shows that funding will trail inflation. So the blue line is adjusted per pupil weight change in inflation. And so we will trail in fiscal year 24, which is the school year we're in, by $1,282 per pupil. And in fiscal year 25, it's projected that we will trail inflation by $1,356. So here is our 23-24 school year budget that we present and we will give to the state. The main point of this is on the bottom right-hand corner. It does show our fiscal year 2023 operating costs per average daily membership. So that's what our cost is, or we spend per student, is $16,887.13 per student. That is pretty average. We're kind of right in the middle. I did a little research and there's some a little lower and there's some a little and a lot higher. So we're doing okay in that area. So for our fiscal year budget, this shows our expenditure fund and that expenditure budget in the first two columns. The second two columns are our revenue fund and the revenue budget. Total budget, we're expected to have expenditures of $10,245,571 with an expected revenue of $10,331 or $10,331,160. A biggest portion of our budget obviously goes to the general fund and to food service. Them are our biggest expenditure areas that we have. And general fund is typically your cost of curriculum and teachers and staff. So on our revenue, it's broken down on this graph that shows that 65% of our revenue budget comes from state revenues. 18% of that comes from federal revenues, and 17% comes from local revenues. So, for instance, state of that $10 million, 6.7 million roughly come from state, 1.8 million from federal, and 1.7 million roughly from the local governments. So our expenditures are broken down. As you can see, the largest portion of our budget is spent on regular instruction. Again, that includes teacher salary, is a big portion of that, curriculum, and things like that. Fixed costs are about 2%. It's a very small portion. Special ed is about 9%. Pupil support, which is like paraprofessionals and things like that, is 16%, and the administrative costs are about 6%. So proposed property taxes 2024, know your valuation, property classification and market value. These were sent out in the spring of 2023 and they cannot change value. Watch for 2024 statement in the spring and where you can appeal to. Here on this graph, it does show the history. The closest one on your left is our current proposed levy history, and it goes all the way back to the 14-15 school year. This shows the trend. The 2021 was during COVID, so we saw a higher amount of levy money coming in that was given to us, hence the large increase in that area over others. So that's that. So what are the main variables that cause property tax increases and decreases? Change in market value, change in class rates or history, voter approved referendum, participation in state education programs financed fully or partially by levies. Legislation controls levy parameters, including equalization factors and various tax bases used for levies, and school board actions. A school tax credit is a permanent law enacted in 2017. Affects all existing Fund 7 debt levies except for OPEB bonds. Reductions for farmers and timber owners will remain at 70% in 2024. The revenue from ag to school comes from state income, sales, and other tax revenue. And you can find your ag to school credit on your proposed property tax statement. It is calculated on each parcel statement, sum of all parcels for total, and because paid by the state, it doesn't show up on a levy certification report. Proposed pay 24 levy shows for our general fund of $1.392 million, which is an increase of about 46,000 or 3.42%. Community education, an increase of nearly $71,000 with an increase of about $2,100 for a 3.05% change. Currently, we don't have any general debt service or OPEB debt service. We will have debt service next year once with the referendum. So our pay 24 levy is $1,463,838.06. Our increase over pay 23 levy would be $48,225.61 or 3.41%. So for the 23, pay 24 for Independent School District 2534, the final levy, it shows this out, and this is what we will be certifying in December. And if anyone has questions, they can contact me. I'll be glad to answer any questions that come about. Anybody have any questions?
Thank you.
Thanks.
You don't want to do that. Okay, I do need to ask them. Is there anyone here at the public hearing that has any questions? Any questions by anyone here? Okay, and the board, do you have no questions?
Nice person.
I guess then with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn as we have no questions. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved by member Bowen and seconded by member Sheehan to adjourn the truth and taxation hearing. Any discussion? Any discussion? Okay, all in favor, let's vote. Adjourning, say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Motion carries. We're adjourning at 6:42 PM for truth and taxation hearing. Thank you.
I made it 10 minutes.
Good job.